Bring them home, bring them home, bring our parents, our children home. From the dust of Afghanistan back to our arms, bring them home.
Bring them home, bring them home, bring our sons and our daughters home. From the ghettos of Baghdad back to our arms, bring them home.
Welcome to Peace Now. My name is Trudy Quaife. I'm a member of Bethlehem Neighbors for Peace. We're a local organization of friends and neighbors, and we've been advocating for peace and justice for well over a decade. I'm your host today, and I'm joined by Mark Klein. Thank you.
Thank you, Trudy. Pleasure being here.
Glad to have you here. Mark Klein is a local activist, and he's got a project now that he's working on called Solarize Schenectady County. So today we'll be talking about solar energy, and not just Schenectady County. So Mark, could you tell us how you decided to get involved in this project?
I guess I've always had some interest in solar energy. I've a technical background, and I've always been curious about solar water heating during college, and the solar cell technology, and I've come to realize just how effective solar power is. My brother put up a large array at his house in Averill Park back about 4 or 5 years ago, and that really inspired me. I didn't think it was possible in our area to do solar economically, and I've come to realize that it is quite economical, and it's the right thing to do, and it fills a niche as far as the technical interests I have, as well as the ecological interests that I think we all share.
Okay, but could you tell us what you think the benefits of solar power are?
I think solar is it's a relatively clean energy. It takes some dirty power to build the solar cells to begin with, but after that, the life cycle energy gain that you get from building solar cells is tremendous. It cuts down on the carbon, the fuels that we burn, which cause carbon emissions, which cause a lot of our climate problems. It supplants the need for new power plants of all sorts, anything from nuclear power plants to fossil fuel power plants. With the price decreases with solar cell technology, it's become an economical thing to do. It's more economical to put up wind and solar now than it is to put up large power plants. I looked up something. Since 1980, the prices dropped 8 times, 8x. So what cost $24 per watt to generate power from solar cells back in 1980, it's now about $3 a watt. So a lot of things have changed since Ronald Reagan ripped the solar panels off the White House. Things have really improved, and there's a real big economical benefit right now as well, in that there's New York State and the federal government and different manifestations in New York State, like the New York State Energy Research and Development Agency, NYSERDA, have all gotten together to provide tremendous financial incentives that you're almost crazy not to take advantage of.
You mentioned NYSERDA. Could you tell us what is NYSERDA? What do they do? I've heard that term. I don't think a lot of people know what NYSERDA is.
NYSERDA, I think let me read off their mission statement a little bit. NYSERDA, New York State Energy Research and Development Authority. It promotes energy efficiency and the use of renewable energy sources as efforts key to developing a less polluting and more reliable and affordable energy system for all New Yorkers. Collectively, their aim is to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, accelerate economic growth, and reduce customer energy bills. They've got a mission statement and vision talking about advancing innovative energy solutions in New York, improving New York's economy and environment, serving as a catalyst for energy innovation, technology, and investment, empowering people to choose clean and efficient energy as part of their everyday lives. I think this is the most surprising part of all the solar energy stuff that's going on, is that our state government is really doing a good job with promoting solar. We're in a little bit of a catch-up game with what Massachusetts and Colorado and some other states have been doing, but New York has really turned hard into the wind and turned on solar power, and there's just an exponential growth of activities going on right now for solar development.
Well, that's good news.
Yeah, it's surprisingly good news.
Yeah, glad to hear that. Now, what would be the average cost for a homeowner to install solar panels?
The solar panels, like I said, have really come down in price. I did put together some stuff. I'm interested in solar for my own house. I haven't done it yet, but I'm very close to doing it. I don't have the slide here. Or do I? Here we are. I was worried about the ability to put solar panels up at my place because I have a lot of trees in front of my house. My roof is shaded, and there's only one spot in the backyard, back near my beehives, where you get some decent amount of sun. So I recently had some folks take another look at that, and by taking down a couple of trees, I can get a good solar site in the back of the yard. And for me, I need, I use about 7,000 kilowatt hours of energy per year, and these are the numbers that you get off of page 2 of your national grid bill. You get kilowatt hours per month. You multiply times 12, and you get the kilowatt hours per year, and mine is about 7,000. Mm-hmm. With that sort of usage, I have an electric bill of about $100 a month, and to use solar power to get rid of that electric bill, I need about 24 solar panels, and these are solar panels that are about the size of a 4x8 sheet of plyboard, right? And these 24 panels, all installed as turnkey generating power as a local power plant, if you will, cost roughly about $18,000. Mm-hmm. But the rebates that are from New York State tax and federal tax, as well as some NYSERDA rebates directly to the solar companies, all wrap up to take that $18,000 price and for me, and take it down to about $7,000. So that's, I end up paying only about 36% of the price, the original price of the solar panels. And then so you end up with a $7,000 bill. Well, actually more than that, because you've got to pay out the taxes and then get the tax rebates from the state. But the solar installers try to make it easy. They want the business, and they'll facilitate a loan that's for the tax money. Oh. So you do basically a 0%, zero down loan for 1 year. When you get your tax rebates from the state and federal tax returns, you pay off that loan. And then what you're left with is the $7,000 after all. Now there's also loans for that money. If you don't have $7,000, in my case, in the bank, you can take out a Green Jobs, Green Energy loan at 3.5% interest for 5, 10, or 15 years. And if from what I've seen, if you do that, if you take out that 3.5% loan for a 5-year period, my $100 electric bill, when we get back to the $100, drops down to about $68. So even with the loans, with the solar panels in place, all installed and operating, you immediately save money on your electric bill.
So right away, your electric bill is really less, is about 40% less.
Yeah, yeah. Economically, if there's a physical space available that allows you to put up solar panels, to buy a solar array, and we're talking about purchased solar arrays, not leasing at this point. Financially, it makes all the sense in the world just to go ahead and do this.
Now, I've heard some people say that they've produced enough electricity with their solar panels that they can actually sell some back. How does that work?
Well, the solar panels, especially in the summertime with the tilt of the earth and the sun's angle, if you have a big enough array, if it's sized right, in my case about 24 of these panels, you actually make more power than you use. Now in the wintertime, with the Earth's angle a little bit different for us in the wintertime, you don't make as much, and you end up, the solar cells don't make as much electricity as you use, but the solar panels are tied into National Grid via the wires to your house. So you're tied into the grid, and there's a meter on your house, a net meter, that keeps track of the excess electricity you make during the summer and the lack of electricity that you make during the wintertime, and they settle up with you. National Grid settles up with you once a year, ideally March 1st, and then your energy credits, the excess power that you made in the summertime, is applied to your overall yearly bill, which includes when it dipped down in the wintertime, and you basically break even. There's a this is a graph of my brother's array over in Averill Park. You're making more power in the summertime, and although my electricity usage for the house is pretty steady, in the wintertime I'm at a loss, but I'm making a little bit more in the summertime than I am in the wintertime, and as a result, I end up,
Just about even.
Yeah, basically when you make too much power, National Grid gives you a credit, but it's at the wholesale rate. You basically don't make much money if you make too much power. But what you can do very effectively is to cover your own bill and make it go away. And at that point, the only charges you end up with on your electric bill, if you've got a nice sized array, is the interconnection charge that National Grid charges everybody for connecting up the wires to your house. If you've got wires connected to your house, whether you've got the lights on or not, you're going to pay $17 a month, and that's constant. That has nothing to do with whether you're actually using electricity or not. It's just if you're connected to the grid, that's a charge for National Grid.
Okay. Do you have any advice for people on whether they should put the panels on top of their house or if they should put them in their yard?
Well, that's a toss-up a little bit. The upfront costs for solar panels are cheaper if they're mounted on a house. In my case, I can't mount them on the south-facing roof because of the trees I've got in the front yard that I don't want to take down. But for people who have the option of putting them on the roof or not putting them on the roof, it'll cost a little bit less per watt to put them on the roof. You'll save maybe $1,000, $1,500 to put the panels up on your roof. Now, having said that, how old is your roof? Is your roof 15?
20 years old.
Yeah, 20 years old, and well. If your roof is 20 years old, you probably want to have a roof job done before you put the solar panels up. If your roof is 10 years old, well then it's a good chance that the solar panels are going to outlive the life of the roof around the solar panels. Underneath the solar panels, your roof will be very healthy and will survive a long time because it's shaded from the sun and won't age the same way. But around the solar panels where the sun is still hitting your roof, that's going to continue aging, and the solar panels are likely to last 25 years. They're going to outlast the life of your panels, and in that case, there's two solutions. One is live with it, and when your roof wears out, you have a contractor pull the panels off. It's not difficult. You know, maybe you get hit with $1,000 charge or something like that, but you've been making money all along.
Right.
You've not been paying electric bills all along. If you've been banking some of that money, you've got money for that roof
Moving
job,
it, yeah.
and including the removal and replacement of the solar panels. The other solution is to put the panels, like what I'm planning to do, on a ground mount array in the back of the property, and then you've completely divorced the solar panels away from the roofing. However, there's a cost involved. There's an adder from the solar installer companies per watt for those arrays. So it'll be a slightly longer payback period. I think in the scenario that I've got here that I just went through, my payback is on the order of 7 years. Although there's a lot of hand waving about the future cost of electricity and what's going on. Electricity has been marching up very steadily, but you know, it's hard to predict what the future will hold to some extent.
Right. Would it be somewhat dependent on fossil fuels, right? And how much the costs go up for fossil fuels.
Right.
Okay. One other question about the panels themselves. Do they have to be adjusted during the course of a year depending on the angle of the sun and that sort of thing?
Ideally, that's a great thing to do. You can, you know, because of the change in the Earth's tilt from summer to winter, you know, you basically want the panels more vertical in the winter time. However, the panels are big, you know, and that's a lot of a hassle for a lot of people. I know even my very mechanically and electronically inclined older brother with his big array, he doesn't move the panels. A lot of people basically would rather get an oversized array that is fixed and bolted down and doesn't move than to do anything else. A simple linkage where you can maybe twice a year move it up and down is sort of a compromise, and you know, it's not, but you got to get out there and do that. And of course that's harder to do on your roof than in your backyard on a ground mount array. And there's also some suppliers that will do motorized tracking systems that will turn the array to the east in the morning and to the west in the afternoon, and crank up and down vertically for the seasonally to track the sun, and that adds a lot of efficiency. It also adds a lot of cost, and I guess I would be worried for my quality and reliability background from years ago of introducing motor drives off in the middle of a cold field, getting hot and cold every day, and how long those motors are really going to work from a reliability point of view.
Okay.
So,
All right. Well, let's talk a little bit about why people should consider getting solar panels. You mentioned to me the 3 E's of renewable energy. I wonder if you could talk a little bit about that.
well, there's, you know, there was a march down in New York, the People's Climate March, back
Yes.
a few Septembers ago, where 400,000 people showed up, basically because we've all got the idea that bad things are happening in the world as far as our ecology, and I think solar panels really are part of the solution to, and can be a very major part of the solution to solving all that. So the 3 E's are the environment, economics, and equity. From the environment point of view, we're causing a lot of climate disruption because of the carbon we're adding, because of burning carbon, we're we're disrupting the climate. It's like hitting a top that's spinning at high speed and is carefully balanced. We're making the world careen out of control, and with both temperature excesses and decreases and floods and droughts. I think we're really unbalancing things, and I think going to a steady energy source like solar is a good solution for that. The second E is economics. Some people say we've hit peak oil around the year 2010, not too long ago. We've been using fossil fuels since the 1700s, and we're likely to run out. I mean, it's been predicted before that we're running out, but we can see the drying up of our resources, and as fossil fuels become less available, that says that there's great economic fallout that's going to happen worldwide. And the last E is equity. How fair we've been as far as stewards, as far as the U.S. has been as stewards of our resources, of the world's resources. We've been using way beyond our proportion of the Earth's resources, and just out of fairness to all the other nations in the world, all the third world nations that are just starting to develop energy, we need to get away from fossil fuel.
Okay. And equity, did you address that one?
Yeah, just as far as 3% of the world's population, especially the U.S., is now using 30% of the world's resources, and we need to stop doing that.
Okay. Okay. What are some other ways that homeowners can utilize alternative sources of energy other than solar?
There is there is also wind power. There are small wind turbines that. Then there's information up on NYSERDA about wind power. There are grants and rebates and things that are being reinstated for wind power. And the nice thing about small wind generators is oftentimes the wind builds up at night when the solar power is going down. So it might even be that having a small wind generator is a complementary form of energy with respect to the solar production that we're doing. And certainly it plays in well with the utility scale, big stuff that's outside of the grasp of homeowners.
I think maybe you've already covered this, but I've heard people say that, well, in New York State we just don't have that much sun, so it just doesn't make sense to have solar panels. How would you respond to that?
Well, the efficiency of solar panels has been increasing by about 1/3% per year for going back 10-15 years anyway. So we've got solar panels that are much more efficient, and the price of those much more efficient solar panels has really exponentially decreased. So what makes sense is you just put up more panels, and with enough panels, even in upstate New York, you can easily make enough power to put away most, if not all, of your electric bill. There was an article in the news today that about Germany having on this past Sunday making something like 90% of the power needs of the country. Germany went crazy going after solar power. They really believed in it and got in front of the curve and have put up a tremendous amount of arrays in Germany. And Germany has weather more like Canada as far as stormy weather goes. They have much less sunlight than we do, and again they had a day the other day where they're making. If their grid could handle it, they were making 90% of the power use of the whole country.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, we're actually down to 5 minutes left, so
that did go fast.
It did go fast. I told you it would. Let's talk about what people can do to find out more. What if somebody listening today thinks, yes, this is what I'd like to do, but I need to find out more? What would you suggest they do?
there's a lot of resources on the web. Certainly, you can contact me, Mark Klein. I'm with the Solarize Schenectady County campaign, which was approved by, certified by NYSERDA to go off and promote solar energy in Schenectady County. We're a small group of citizen volunteers doing that. And similarly, in Albany, there's Solarize Albany, and I believe Solarize 7 for Washington County, and there's a group, the group. There's a Solarize campaign for Troy as well that's focusing on some of the businesses in Troy. So there's a lot of opportunities to go off to your local campaigns, and the idea of the Solarize campaigns is that we're interested third-party people who are trying to promote solar. We're not making money off of this. We've done a lot of the legwork, and we're hoping with our expertise and with the selection of vendors also. We went out for a bid process and selected a vendor for Schenectady County as a low-cost, value-added vendor that we feel is a good supplier. Solarize Albany has done the same thing. So we've done a lot of the legwork for people because picking solar can be pretty confusing. I don't recommend that you go after leases. I don't recommend that you go to the first person that you see in your hardware store and sign up. But talk to people who have installations. Talk to the Solarize campaigns. Do the research at NYSERDA and read up on it. There's a tremendous amount of solar panels going up on roofs all around, and there's a real reason for it in that we're way past the tipping point of making this economically and financially make sense, and we're well beyond that ecologically as well. I've been buying solar power for years through the ESCO, the National Grid companies that you can sign up with online. But with that sort of stuff, you end up paying more money. With local solar generation, you can save money and effectively own your own solar plant yourself.
Okay, well, we're down to 3 minutes left, so maybe we should just summarize at this point. Is there any reason for a homeowner not to look into solar panels? I guess if they have too many trees in their yard, that's probably one reason that you just absolutely couldn't have solar panels. Is that true?
Yes, if there's too many trees in your area, and which is the case that we thought we were in. We thought we just couldn't find a sunny enough spot in our backyard, much less the roof, to put up solar panels. There is something coming down the line, and it's been in the press of late. There's something called community distributed generation or shared solar, same thing. And there's places like Helderberg Community Energy up in the Hilltown, and the Solarize group in Troy is looking into some of this stuff, and it's popping up. It's where homeowners can buy into a remote array that's far away, and you own a chunk of that and get your power from that. But it's still the Wild West. This has just happened, within the last couple of months. The regulations have been changing very rapidly, and we're probably about a year away from a good situation with being able to choose shared solar.
Okay. Well, so actually anyone could sign up for solar power, right? Even if you are renting, if you're paying your electric bill, you could sign up for this off-site solar energy.
Yes,
right?
that's right.
So
with the shared solar, that really opens up things for renters
just about
as
everybody.
well. That's right. So that's something very exciting. It's too new for us to have figured that we should include this as part of our campaign, and given all the changes of late, I'm glad we made that decision.
Okay, well, thank you so much for being here today. This has been a really informative half hour. I'm so glad we talked about solar power.
Trudy, on behalf of Solarize Schenectady County, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mark. And thank you all for joining us. We'll be having future shows. We'll be talking more about drones and how the cost of war has affected both our local and national economy. Thank you very much.